It's time now in our program to do something we call a community moment. It's an opportunity for someone from our community to come up here and share a thought for the day, maybe something they've read, maybe their journey to free thought, or whatever they want to share with us today. So today we have someone who's given community moments here before and always has some interesting thoughts for us, a member of our own community, Mr. Wayne Lauritzen. Let's give him a round of applause.
Well, good morning, my friends. My community moment today has been titled About School. It starts kind of strangely in that about a half a lifetime ago, I was employed by Gulf, and I went to a management seminar in the hills of West Virginia. It was a beautiful thing, but we referred to those things as charm schools. And those of you who know me can see how well it worked. But anyway, about 20 middle managers showed up for this thing. And the very first thing we did, we were divided into groups, and the instructor passed out a packet called the survival game. And so we broke them open and read the rules. And apparently we were on an airplane flying that crashed in the Sonora Desert. The pilot and co-pilot and anybody who knew anything about things were killed. The rest of us went through the plane and we found a whole bunch of stuff. Like we found a map that said we were 60 miles off course at the time that we crashed. The closest civilization was about 70 miles away. It was a mining camp. And then we had a whole bunch of stuff that we went through. We found some bottled water, a makeup mirror, hiking shoes, candy bars, water, stuff like that. And we broke up, as I said, into 4 tables of 5 people each, and we were to rank these things to help us best in survival. And so we first did it individually, and then we talked about things in the group as a committee. And then we got scored against experts in survival who said, hey, here's what you should have done, and these things were important. It was a fun exercise in that it got us to meeting people, let us know what working together could do, plus it was fun. And we found out some things immediately. One of the things is the people who were knowledgeable in survival usually did better on their individual scores than the people who were not. And from that, you can learn a thing that most managers should know, and that if you know what you're doing, you should do it. And if you have no clue as to what you're doing, you should form a committee. And and that happens a lot. But anyway, there was something a little more subtle that went on in this, and this was the purpose of the survival game. And that was, it was kind of an introduction to strategic decision-making and or strategic management. Excuse me. And strategic management or strategic decision-making is when you're asking yourself, are we doing the right things, not are we doing things right? Technical decision-making or technical management is usually, are we doing things right? Are we being the most efficient? And basically in an organization, the middle and lower layer managers are making technical decisions, saying, are we being the most efficient? Are we doing things right to accomplish our goals? The upper level management should be asking, are we doing the right things? Well, one of the things that was pointed out in this course is that's good for management, but strategic decision making also applies to everyday life and doesn't have to be upper level management. We should be worried about, well, not worried, but we should be concerned about, are we doing the right things? We then had a little handout passed out to us, which is this handout, which I'm not going to pass out, I'm going to read it to you. And this is an essay which is food for thought on are we doing the right things, and it's called About School. And I would just like to read that to you if I could. He always wanted to say things, but no one understood. He always wanted to explain things, but no one cared. So he drew. Sometimes he would just draw and it wasn't anything. He wanted to carve it in stone or write it in the sky. He would lie out on the grass and look up at the sky, and it would be only him and the sky and the things inside him that needed saying. And it was after that that he drew the picture. It was a beautiful picture. He kept it under the pillow and would let no one see it. And he would look at it every night and think about it. And when it was dark and his eyes were closed, he could still see it. And it was all of him, and he loved it. When he started school, he brought it with him, not to show anyone, but just to have with him like a friend. It was funny about school. He sat at a square brown desk like all the other square brown desks and thought it should be red. And his room was a square brown room like all the other rooms, and it was tight and close and stiff. He hated to hold the pencil and the chalk. With his arms stiff and his feet flat on the floor, stiff with the teacher watching and watching. And then he had to write numbers. They weren't anything. They were worse than the letters that could be something if you put them together. And the numbers were tight and square, and he hated the whole thing. The teacher came and spoke to him. She told him to wear a tie like all the other boys. He said he didn't like them, and she said it didn't matter. After that, they drew, and he drew all yellow, and it was the way he felt about the morning, and it was beautiful. The teacher came and smiled at him. "What's this?" she said. "Why don't you draw something like Ken's drawing? Isn't that beautiful?" It was all the questions. After that, his mother bought him a tie, and he always drew airplanes and rocket ships like everyone else. And he threw the old picture away, and when he lay out alone looking at the sky, it was big and blue and all of everything. But he wasn't anymore. He was square inside and brown, and his hands were stiff, and he was like everyone else, and the thing inside him that needed saying didn't need saying anymore. It had stopped pushing. It was crushed, stiff, like everything else. Have a good day.